Hi everyone, welcome back to the Scare Archive, where I bring you the most terrifying supernatural stories every week. If you like sinister tales that will keep you on the edge of your seat, you are in the right place. Today, I have 3 truly horrifying cases to share, so fasten your seatbelts, turn off the lights, and let's dive in. And if you have your own horror story, don't hesitate to send it to scarearchive.cases@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. Okay, so I've always been that person who, I don't know, never really got scared easily, you know? Like horror movies? Bring them on. Dark alleyways? No problem. I love the peace of late night walks. There's something about the world when everyone else is asleep, you know? It's like you have the streets all to yourself. But man, this one changed everything. My name is Jamie, and this happened a few years back. I was living in a quiet neighborhood, the kind where everyone knows everyone, but I still crave that solitude, that time to just breathe. So around 1 a.m., I'd sneak out. Yeah, I know, not the smartest thing, but hear me out. Our house had this half wall, not a full-on fence, more like a divider, I guess. Anyway, the gate was creaky, and my mom, she had ears like a hawk. Just one time, she caught me leaving, and oh boy, the lecture, grounded for days. So after that, I started hopping over the wall, quick and quiet, like a ninja. Or at least, that's how I saw myself. So, there I was, one particular night, maybe a Tuesday, I don't remember exactly. I'm over the wall, I cross the street, there's this weird intersection, kinda crooked, and I'm just walking. No real destination, just letting my feet take me. The air was cool, a little breezy, and the sky was full of stars. You could actually see them in this town, you know? No city lights to drown them out. It was peaceful. For a while anyway. I must have walked for a couple of hours, just lost in my thoughts, listening to music on my old MP3 player. Yeah, I'm dating myself here. Anyway, it's getting close to 3 a.m. and I decide to head back. I'm walking along and I see my neighbor, Mrs. Henderson. Sweet lady, but so nosy. Always up in everyone's business. And there she is, standing in her driveway, chatting with someone. I am not in the mood for small talk, you know? So I think, okay, plan B. There's this shortcut I sometimes take, goes past this old abandoned lot. It's a little creepy, I'll admit, but it cuts off a good 10 minutes. I approach the lot, and it's dark. Like really dark. No streetlights, no moon shining in there, nothing. Just shadows in the outline of this old house at the back. It had been empty for years, boarded up, overgrown with weeds. People said it was haunted, of course. Kids dared each other to go in there and stuff. I never did. Anyway, I take a deep breath and I glance into the lot. And that's when I saw it. In the upstairs window of the house, there was this thing. I don't even know how else to describe it. It was like a demon, straight out of a nightmare. It had these horns, I guess, sticking out of its head, and this huge, gaping mouth filled with rows and rows of sharp, pointy teeth. And its eyes, God, its eyes were just black, empty, and it was just staring at me. I could see its outline against the dim light from somewhere. I don't know where the light was coming from, but it was enough to see it clearly. The worst part? It looked dry, like skeletal. I could almost see the bones beneath its skin. Or whatever it was. It wasn't human, that's for sure. I froze. My heart was pounding in my chest, my breath caught in my throat. I couldn't move, couldn't scream, couldn't even blink, I think. I was just stuck, staring at this thing. I don't know how long I stood there. Maybe a minute, maybe an eternity. It felt like time just stopped. Then finally, my brain kicked back in, and I started to back away, slowly, carefully, never taking my eyes off of it. It just stood there, watching me. I could feel my legs shaking, my hands clammy. I was terrified, absolutely terrified. Eventually, I turned and ran. I sprinted down the street, my lungs burning, my feet pounding on the pavement. I didn't look back. I couldn't look back. I just ran. I decided to take a different way home, this path that goes through the woods behind some houses. It was longer and, honestly, a little spooky even on a good day, but I didn't care. I just wanted to get away from that thing. So I'm running through the woods, branches snapping under my feet, leaves rustling around me, and I'm glancing over my shoulder every few seconds, just in case. And then I see it again, behind a tree, just standing there, watching me. The same creature, the same horns, the same eyes, the same horrible, horrible stare. I swear, it was like it was following me. This time, I didn't hesitate. I ran faster. I ran harder. I could hear myself gasping for air, my heart pounding in my ears. I burst out of the woods and onto a street with houses, with lights, with people. Well, not people exactly. It was still the middle of the night, but there were a few cars driving by. And across the street, a dog started barking like crazy, like it had gone mad. It was looking in the same direction I had come from. I didn't stick around to see if it was the thing. I just kept running. I ran all the way home, didn't stop until I was inside, the door locked, every light in the house blazing. I didn't sleep a wink that night. Every creak of the house, every shadow in the corner made me jump. I was a mess. And that should be the end of the story, right? Scary encounter, lesson learned, never go out at night again. But no. A few months later, I'm dating this guy, Mark, and he has a motorcycle. Cool, right? Well, one evening, he's giving my brother a ride to our aunt's place, which is a bit of a drive. He offers to come back and pick me up afterwards so we can hang out at his place. But I'm feeling independent, I guess, and I tell him I'll just walk. It's not that far, right? He leaves. I start walking. It's around 5:30 p.m. Still light out, but the sun's starting to go down. I'm strolling along, enjoying the almost evening, when Mark calls. He's already at his place, asks where I am. I tell him I'm still on Elm Street, about halfway there. He gets all worried and tells me to wait for him at the benches by the park, says it's not safe to walk alone now that it's getting dark. I'm like, I can handle myself. But I agree to wait, mostly to avoid an argument. I get to the park and the benches are crowded with guys. Loud, rowdy. I don't feel comfortable there at all. So I think, screw it, I'm walking. The thing is, the road from the park to Mark's place is isolated. It's lined with these tall, thick trees. They block out the light, and there are no houses, no streetlights, nothing. Just me and the trees. And it gets dark fast. I pick up my pace, starting to feel a little uneasy. The wind whispers through the trees, making them sway and creak. It's the kind of place where you expect to see a werewolf or something, you know? And then I pass the cemetery. Yeah, great. And that's when I hear it. A whistle. Not a normal whistle, but this high-pitched, eerie, drawn-out whistle. My blood runs cold. I remember the fear, the terror, the image of that thing in the window. I start running, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I pass the cemetery gate and I'm thinking, just a little further, just a little further. And then, about 6 feet past the gate, it's there again. But this time, it's not standing, it's crawling across the road from one side to the other, like some kind of spider demon. It's dragging itself, its body contorted, its limbs moving in this unnatural way. And its head is swiveling, looking from side to side, and then it turns and looks right at me. I can't even describe how horrible it was. Up close, it was 1,000 times worse than before. The details, the way its skin stretched and cracked, the way its eyes seemed to glow in the dark. I froze again, like a deer in headlights. And then I ran. I ran like my life depended on it, which it probably did. I didn't look back, I didn't stop, I didn't even breathe, I don't think. I ran all the way to Mark's house, burst through the door, and collapsed on his couch, shaking and sobbing. He was terrified. I told him everything. I never walked alone at night again, not even for a short distance. That thing, whatever it was, stole that from me. It stole my peace, my sense of safety. And to this day, I still get chills thinking about it. That whistle, that face. It happened when I was a kid, like really young, around 12, I think. And it's one of those memories that's just burned into your brain, you know? Like, no matter how hard you try, you can't forget it. It's like a bad dream that keeps replaying over and over again. It was late, really late, way past my bedtime. I remember because I have been trying to sneak downstairs to watch TV with my dad. We used to do that sometimes when my mom was working late. Just me and him, junk food, and some cheesy action movie. But that night, I was too tired. I fell asleep on the couch waiting for him. The next thing I knew, I was being shaken awake by the sound of banging, loud, violent banging. It took me a few seconds to figure out what was going on. I was groggy, disoriented, but the banging kept getting louder, more insistent. It sounded like someone was trying to break down our front door. Not just knocking, but full-on smashing against it. My heart started pounding in my chest. That kind of slow, heavy pounding that makes your whole body feel like it's vibrating. I was terrified. I mean, I was just a kid. Home invasions? You hear about them on the news, but you never think they'll happen to you. It felt surreal. Like I was in a movie, but a really, really bad one. I remember thinking, this can't be real. This has to be a dream. But then a chunk of the ceiling fell on my arm. It didn't hurt that much, not at first. It was more the shock of it. The dust, the sound of the plaster cracking, it snapped me out of that daze. This was real. This was actually happening. And that's when the fear really kicked in. Cold, paralyzing fear. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. I just sat there, frozen on the couch, listening to the door splintering. My dad, he was still asleep in his armchair. I tried to wake him up, shaking his shoulder, calling his name. Dad, Dad, wake up! But he wouldn't budge. It was like he was in a coma or something, completely unresponsive. His skin was pale, and he was breathing heavily, but he just wouldn't wake up. The banging got louder. I could hear the wood of the door cracking, the hinges groaning. They were going to get in. And my dad was just lying there. I was alone, completely and utterly alone with whatever was on the other side of that door. Panic set in, pure, blind panic. I didn't know what to do. I was just a kid. I couldn't fight off intruders. I couldn't protect myself, but I had to do something. I had to try. My dad, I had to wake him up. He was big and strong. He could protect us. I looked around desperately for something, anything to use. My eyes landed on a piece of firewood leaning against the fireplace. It was a thick log, heavy. I grabbed it with both hands. It was rough and splintery, and it felt awkward in my hands, but it was the only thing I had. And then I started hitting my dad with it. I know how that sounds. It sounds awful, but I was desperate. I was terrified. I was 12 years old and I thought we were about to die. I hit him on the arm, on the shoulder, anywhere I could reach. Dad, wake up! Please wake up! I was screaming, crying, hitting him over and over again. He finally started to stir, groaning, confused. He looked at me with this bewildered expression, like he didn't recognize me. What are you doing?" he mumbled. And I was just sobbing. "There's someone at the door. They're trying to get in." By that point, the door was practically in pieces. I could see shadows moving outside, hear voices yelling. It was chaos. My dad finally snapped out of it, thank God. He jumped up, grabbed me, and pulled me behind him. He was still groggy, but he was awake, and he was furious. He grabbed the fireplace poker. It was heavy and black with a pointed end, and stood between us and the door, ready to fight. I huddled behind him, shaking like a leaf, clutching that stupid piece of firewood. I could feel my heart pounding in my ears, the blood rushing in my head. I thought I was gonna pass out. And then, silence. The banging stopped. The voices faded away. It was like they just vanished. We waited, my dad and I, for what felt like forever. Him with the poker, me with the log, both of us trembling. But no one came in. Eventually, my dad cautiously opened the door. The front door was almost completely destroyed, hanging off its hinges. But there was no one there, no one at all. Just an empty porch and the quiet of the night. We called the police, of course. They came, they searched the house and the yard, but they found nothing. No signs of forced entry anywhere else, no footprints, no nothing. It was like it had all been a hallucination. But the broken door was real. The fear was real. The memory is still real. To this day, I don't know what happened that night, who those people were, why they were trying to break in, why they disappeared so suddenly. And the worst part is the guilt. The guilt of hitting my dad. Even though I know I did it to protect us, to save us, it still haunts me. I still have nightmares about it. Nightmares where I'm hitting him over and over again and he's not waking up. I've worked a lot of weird jobs in my life, but nothing quite prepared me for my time at the daycare. I was an assistant there for almost 2 years, and it was mostly your typical daycare chaos. Runny noses, tantrums, the occasional art project gone horribly wrong. You know the drill. But then we got those toys. I was working at this municipal daycare, one of those small ones, not a big chain or anything. We had 3 classrooms, and it was always crazy busy. We did everything, helped with meals, changed diapers, calmed crying kids, even made up silly games to keep them entertained. Honestly, most days I loved it. Exhausting, but rewarding, you know? But there was this one period. I wish I could just erase it from my memory. It started with a donation. We got donations pretty often, actually. Parents cleaning out their kids' stuff, that kind of thing. Usually it was just clothes or maybe some books. But this time, it was a big sealed box, taped shut with packing tape. We opened it up and it was full of toys. Stuffed animals, dolls, little wooden cars, puppets. Some of them looked kinda old, gently used, but still in decent shape. The director was thrilled. She was like, "Oh, this is great! New toys for the toddlers and the preschoolers." We sorted everything out, put them in the different classrooms, and for a while, everything was fine. The kids loved them, but then things started getting weird. First, it was the crying. Kids who never cried started sobbing all the time, especially when they were near those new toys. It was this really distressed, freaked out kind of crying, not just your regular kid fussiness. And it was always around the toys, like they were scared of them. Then there was Lily, sweet little girl, 4 years old. She started saying that her teddy bear was talking to her. We all just laughed it off, imaginary friends. Kids say the darndest things, right? But then she started refusing to even touch the bear. If anyone tried to give it to her, she'd scream. Lily was usually a really independent kid, always playing by herself, happy as a clam. But one day, I overheard her talking, and it sounded like she was arguing with someone. I couldn't make out the words, but it was definitely a back and forth. So I went into the playroom to check on her. She was alone, holding that stupid bear, and she looked so relieved when I came in. I asked her if she was okay, and she just handed me the bear and begged me to take it away, which was weird because I'd already taken that bear away from her like 3 times and put it in the toy chest. I had no idea how she kept getting a hold of it, but whatever, I was used to weird. I took the bear and put it away again, and that was that. Or so I thought. But it kept getting worse. This little boy, Alex, fell off the slide and broke his arm. He swore that one of the dolls pushed him, said the doll got up and shoved him right off. And guess what? One of the dolls from the donation box was lying right next to the slide. Then there was Emily. She was playing with one of the puppets, and suddenly she started screaming and thrashing around like someone was attacking her. When we finally calmed her down, she had these red marks on her scalp, like someone had been pulling her hair. And she had scratches on her arms too. But she was alone in the room. It made no sense. I was starting to get really freaked out. And honestly, I wasn't just worried about the kids. I was worried about us, the staff. I mean, if something really bad happened, who do you think they blame? Us. There were no security cameras in that place. It would be our word against whatever was going on. So I talked to the director. And some of the other teachers had seen weird stuff too, but they were trying to brush it off. Coincidence, kids' imaginations, the usual. They didn't want to cause a panic. But the kids knew something was up. They were scared to be at the daycare. They didn't want to be alone, and some of them refused to go anywhere near the toys, especially the playroom. It was like they could feel this bad energy coming from them. Then, a few days after I talked to the director, something happened that no one could explain away. It was late afternoon, and the director was walking down the hall when she heard a bunch of kids laughing and making a racket in the playroom, which was strange because no one was supposed to be in there at that hour. So she opened the door and went in. The room was empty, dead silent. She said it was like all the sound just cut off the second she opened the door. She took a few steps into the room, trying to figure out what was going on, and then the door slammed shut behind her. That's when she heard it. This little kid's voice right behind her saying, "Wanna play with me?" She said she nearly had a heart attack. She tried the door, but it wouldn't open. She was yelling for help, and then she started hearing more voices, kids laughing, this creepy, high-pitched laughter. It was like they were laughing at her. She passed out. And guess who found her? Me. Scared the crap out of me. I thought she was dead. When she came to, she told us everything that happened. And that was it. Even the biggest skeptics were finally convinced there was something seriously wrong with those toys. That same day, after closing, we rounded up all the donated toys, stuffed them in trash bags, and dumped them in the city landfill. Some of the teachers wanted to burn them, but the director was worried about getting in trouble with the city. If we burned them at the daycare, someone might see the smoke or something. And that was the end of it. After we got rid of the toys, everything went back to normal. No more crying, no more accidents, no more creepy voices. But I still have so many questions. Who donated those toys? Did they know they were haunted? And if they did, why would they give them to a daycare where they could hurt kids? I guess I'll never know. It still gives me the chills to think about it. So, what did you think of those stories? Chilling, right? If you've ever had a creepy experience of your own, one that keeps you up at night, send it my way. I'd love to hear your tale. And who knows, it might even end up in a future video. The email is scarearchive.cases@gmail.com. Don't forget to include all the spooky details. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new stories. I'll see you in the next one, and watch out for what lurks in the shadows.